What is up everyone, Roadrunner back with another After Effects tutorial. Today we're going to be covering 3 easy lower thirds. Let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is go New Composition. We're going to title this one Lower Third 1. Next I'm going to hit the Q on my keyboard to bring up my shape tool. I won't need a fill for this, and I'm going to use a stroke of about 10 pixels. I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle on here. I'm going to label it orange because that's the color of the stroke. I'm going to go to Add and Trim Paths. I'm going to toggle this down and change 100% to 99. I'm going to use the scroll wheel to zoom in and my spacebar for my hand tool. Then I'm going to change the offset to be somewhere right here in the middle. For me, that's about -67. Then I'm going to change this back to 100%. I'm going to hit the stopwatch icon for both the start and the end percentage. And I'm going to move both of these keyframes out to about 1 second. Then I'm going to change both of them to be 50%. Then I'm going to select all my keyframes and hit F9 to easy ease them. Then I'm going to go over to my effects and presets and type in glow. And I'm going to drag that right onto my shape layer. And if I scroll ahead, you'll notice there's a nice glow to it. Now I'm going to hit the home button to go to my first frame in my composition. And I'm going to use the page down button to go 5 frames ahead. Then I'm going to click on my shape layer and hit Cmd D to duplicate it. And I'm going to change the start of this shape layer to be where my playhead is. And I'm going to change the stroke color to be a nice blue. And now you'll notice as I scroll ahead, it is drawing both of these on. But what we actually want to do is offset them a little bit. First, we're going to label this one to be blue to match the stroke color. Then we're going to click on the second layer and go down 3 or 4 and then go to the right about 3 or 4. And now you'll notice once these are drawn on, you can still see both of the shape layers. Then I'm going to go over to my composition window and I'm going to hit the Alter Option and / button to fit my composition to the window. Then I'm going to go over here to my type tool and double click, and I'm going to type in Roadrunner and hit enter. Then I'm going to go back to my select tool by hitting V, and I'm going to put this right here, and I may need to change the font size to be about, let's do 100. And for most lower thirds, the top line is for the person's name and the bottom one is for their title, so we need to create that one, and we're going to do that by clicking on our text layer and hitting Command D. Then using the shift arrow keys, I'm going to move this one down a little bit, and I'm going to change that text to be tutorial host. Command A to select all of the text, and we're going to change the font size to be a bit smaller. And hit enter. And so far, I think this looks pretty good. However, there's one thing I would change, and that is to make the text reveal in a cool way. So we're going to click our text layers. And we're going to hit Command Shift and C to pre-compose them. And I'm going to title this one Text. And I'm going to move it up a little bit so it's centered within the squares. I'm going to hit P on my keyboard. And I'm going to hit the stopwatch icon for position. And I'm going to go to where this transition is complete. So I'm going to hit U to bring up all my keyframes. And I'm going to change the Y position to be outside of this box. And I'm going to go ahead about a second here. And I'm going to move this keyframe, select them both, and hit F9 to easy ease them. Now I'm going to hit U to close up all of my layers. And with the text composition selected, I'm going to hit the Q to bring up my shape tool. It should create a mask if you have your composition selected, which is what we want. So now we're going to draw a mask just over this box so we can see the text. Then we're going to scroll down the mask and we're going to create a keyframe for mask path. Then I'm going to hit U again, and I'm going to scroll to where my text movement starts. And then I'm going to click the mask itself, and by using the Shift and the arrow keys, I'm going to move the mask back to where it originally was. And I'm going to select those and hit F9 to easy ease them as well. And now you'll notice if we go slow, the text is revealed. However, you'll notice right here, it is showing up above the blue layer, which we don't want, which is easy to fix. We're just going to drag the text layer down to the bottom. And now it looks like it's coming out from behind the layer. So let's see how that looks. And I think that looks pretty good. However, there is one thing that I would change. And with most of my motion graphics, I like to add a bit of motion blur. So we're going to check these boxes here. And that should automatically check this one here. And let's see how that one looks. And I think that looks pretty good. So let's move on to our next lower third. So we're going to create a new composition. Lower third 2. And for this lower third, I'm also going to hit Q on my keyboard to bring up my shape tool. And this time I'm actually going to add a fill. And I'm going to copy this code, and I'm going to put that into my stroke. And I'm going to draw a box. And I'm going to change the label color. And now I'm going to hit Cmd D to duplicate it. And I'm going to hold my Command key and double click the Pan Behind tool to center my anchor point to the center of my shape layer. And I go V to go back to my select tool. I'm going to click on this new layer and hit S, and I'm going to scale it down to be about 75%. And I'm going to move that to be right about here. And I'm going to change this color to be a nice orange. And I'm going to copy this code and paste that into the stroke. And again, I'm going to double click my type tool, and I'm going to type in Roadrunner. And I'm going to drag that into my box again here. And I'm going to change the font to be a little bit bigger. And I'm going to move that down and to be about the center. I'm going to also duplicate that one. I'm going to put that one down here. And I'm going to change this one to say tutorial hosts. I'm going to hit Command A to select all of my text. And I'm going to change the font size to be smaller so it fits in the box here. Let's say about 100. And using my scroll wheel and my spacebar, I'm going to zoom in and use the hand tool. Switching back to my select tool, I'm going to move this to be in the center of my box. Then I'm going to go over to my effects and presets, and I'm going to type in drop shadow. I'm going to drag that onto my text. And I would definitely recommend playing with some of these settings. However, I'm going to change my opacity to be 100, my direction to 0, my distance to 0, and the softness to 25. And that's just going to add this little shadow that gives it a little bit of depth to it. So we're going to copy this drop shadow and paste it onto our name layer. Now we're going to click on our name layer. Holding the Command key, we're also going to select the shape layer that it's on, and I'm going to hit Command Shift and C to precompose this. I'm going to name this one name, and then I'm going to select my title text and also the layer that that's on, and I'm going to precompose that one as well. Name this one title. Now with my layer selected, I'm going to hit Q to bring up my Create Mask tool, and I'm just going to mask just around it. And this is very similar to what we did in the last one, however the reveal will be slightly different. Then we're going to toggle down mask, and I'm going to hit the stopwatch icon for mask path, and I'm going to push this one out to about a second. Then I'm going to click off of my layer and just select the mask. And now with my select tool, I can move this mask in any way I want. So for this, I'm actually going to click on it, and I'm going to hold the Shift on my keyboard and move it straight down. Then I'm going to select my keyframes and hit F9 to easy ease them. And now you'll notice it just reveals it pretty easily like that. And now we're going to do that with our name layer. And as always, we're going to enable motion blur, and we're going to select these other keyframes and hit F9 to easy ease them as well. And let's see how that looks. And I think that looks pretty good. However, I don't like that they're transitioning at the same time. I would like to reveal the name text first and then the title second. So that's pretty easy to do. All we're going to do is take our keyframes from our title composition and we're going to offset those by about a second here. And let's see how this looks. Awesome. I think that looks pretty good. I think we're ready to move on to the third and final lower third. So going back to our project panel, I'm going to create a new composition and I'm going to title this one third lower third. And this one is going to be similar but a little bit different. We're going to hit G on our keyboard for the pen tool and I'm going to click and I'm going to hold down Shift and draw a line out here, and then I'm going to draw a nice diagonal line here, and holding Shift again I'm going to click over here and close up this shape layer. And what holding Shift will do is it will just give you a perfectly straight line. And I'm going to label this one orange. And I'm going to go over to my effects and presets and I'm going to type in fractal. Drag that on. If you've seen any of my previous tutorials, you'll know that I'm very fond of the fractal noise. I think it gives a lot of shapes and solids a little bit of texture to them that I think looks really good. So we're going to change the blending mode to soft light. We're going to change the fractal type from basic to rocky. And if you want, you can always lower the opacity and it will start to bring back some of that solid shape layer from below. But we're going to set our opacity to 50 for the time being. Awesome. And then we're going to click on our shape layer and duplicate it. And again, holding the Command key and double clicking the Pan Behind tool, I'm going to put the anchor point to the center of this shape layer. And before we finish up today's video, feel free to hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon to get notified when I post a new video. Also, check out my gear list in the description. Thanks so much. I'm going to go to the new shape layer and I'm going to change the fill to be a nice blue. Doing the same thing I've done before, copying the code and putting it into the stroke. I'm going to hit scale and I'm going to scale it down just a little bit. And with my select tool, I'm going to bring it down and put it just below. And I'm going to change the label to blue for this one. And I'm actually going to drag this layer below my orange one. And again, I'm going to go to my type tool and I'm going to type in Roadrunner once again. And I'm going to make the font a little bit bigger. And I'm going to duplicate it and drag this one down and change this one to, and as I said before, Command A to select it all. And we're going to change the font size to be about 75. I'm going to zoom in here. And I'm going to position these right about where I'd like them. Again, going to my effects and presets and typing in drop shadow. And I'm going to do the same exact settings that I did in the previous one. Copy that and paste that onto the other layer. And now I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to select my title shape and text layer that goes with it. And I'm going to hit Command Shift and C. And I'm going to precompose this one and label this one name. And doing the same thing with the title layer. And again, we want the title layer to be below the name layer. I'm going to select these all and hit P. I'm going to create keyframes for both of these and pull those out just a little bit. And this is what I did in my example was I changed the Y value of the title so it would fit right underneath the name layer. Then I'm going to change the X position for the name layer and hold Shift so it goes off screen. And then I'm going to go out to about 1 second and I'm going to move this keyframe in and I'm going to move this keyframe here. And once this is about 2 seconds, I'm going to put this keyframe at about 2 seconds. Then I'm going to select all of my keyframes and hit F9 to easy ease them as well. And add motion blur once again. And let's see how this looks. And oops, looks like we made a quick mistake here, but this is easy to fix. So you'll notice that the title layer is still here and it is not entirely off screen. Now what we can do is we can either create a keyframe here and push it all the way under our name layer, or we can just go to this first keyframe here, select my title layer, hit the Alt option and the square bracket to create the endpoint for my composition here. So now if I scroll back a little bit, you'll notice it's not there until I hit the endpoint for this layer, and then it appears. So now let's see how this looks. Awesome, I think that looks really good. Thank you so much for joining me for another After Effects tutorial. As always, feel free to subscribe and comment down below what you'd like to see in future videos. Thanks so much, take it easy.